Hello and welcome to the Drummergy Podcast for April 8th, 2025. And today is episode 121. I'm your host, Fred Rockfisher. I always got to get started with a little bit of laughing going on. Today, I am going to talk about marketing. And if you're living in the old school ways, or are you current with how things are being done and getting the word out about your product or yourself or things of that nature. So that will be the discussion. It was spawned by a friend of mine who I was on the phone with the other day, and he was experiencing some frustration in marketing and getting my opinion on some stuff. And that's pretty cool to be able to exchange ideas. But before we get into that, there's a couple really cool things going on. And I like to support friends who are doing really cool, awesome stuff. And so this shout out goes to my buddy Bart Robley, who is a drummer and teacher in Southern California, just outside of Los Angeles. And he has written several books. Dang it, I was going to have that, his last book, The Rhythmic Journey, in my hand to show you. That was a really great book. But he just released a brand new book called Drum Up Your Business. And so DRUM stands for determination, relationships, understanding, and mentorship. And so it's a book that's kind of a blueprint to thriving in the music business. So it's not just for drummers, it's for anybody who's in the music business. And it was released, I think, 2 days ago on Hudson Music digitally, and there will be hard copies available coming up, I think a couple months still before that, but it'll be on the Hal Leonard website, or you can go follow Bart Robley on all your social media stuff and stay in touch with Bart. He's also part of the Drummers Education Connection, which I really enjoy their show, which also happens on Tuesdays at, what time is it? For them, it's 11 a.m. Pacific time. I got to keep all my time zones squared away. And they're going to have a drummer educator, Jim Royal, on today. And I believe that Jim is either in Connecticut or Massachusetts, somewhere in one of the New England states. I don't remember for sure off the top of my head. So, but congratulations to Bart on the release of his new book. I told Bart, I said, I'm holding out for the hard copy because I like to have the physical thing in my hand and to read that. So when I do get it, maybe we could all read it together. That would be fun. The producer has been telling me that I should come up with a book that me and my listeners could read together. Then we could discuss that. And I really didn't. I'm not 100% sold on the idea, but maybe I'll try it with Bart's book and see what kind of results we could get. But I was trying to avoid having Fred's book club. But I do like reading stuff, especially stuff that interests me, of course. I was a terrible reader as a kid. I did not, my comprehension of what I was reading was really poor. And I don't know why, especially once I started drumming, that was all that consumed my mind. And more or less has consumed my mind since I was 10 years old. I don't think of much, too much about anything else except drums and drumming. Let's see. The other cool thing is Midline, my original band Midline, which most of you people locally have known about because the band's been around for a long, long time. We have a brand new song that we started. Well, this is kind of JB's baby. He put this riff together and an arrangement, and so we 2 weeks ago had a really cool rehearsal, and we kind of went through that to kind of get a feel for it. And then he and Anthony got together during the week and worked on melody and lyrics. And so last night when we had rehearsal, we worked on that, and I was so jacked and excited about the direction of that, and we just keep I kind of at a loss for words exactly about how it made me feel, but I didn't sleep hardly at all last night. I just kept having that thing run through my mind. So hopefully it won't be too long before that song is recorded and we can do a music video. We love doing music videos and get that out there. The other pretty cool thing is so far we have 2 shows on the books for this year. When you break your leg, that slows things down, and my recovery is a little over 8 months into this leg break, and my walking, I still have a limp, but it is getting smoother. I'm having moments where it gets smoother, and stairs are a little bit of a challenge. I kind of go upstairs like a toddler, but it doesn't hurt or anything like that. It's still kind of swollen, but off track from the midline thing. So we have a show coming up May 9th, I think, and it'll be at the Knitting Factory. We haven't officially announced it yet because I don't think all the marketing tools are ready for that yet. And we're not even in charge of how that's being presented. It's not our show. So, but yes, that'll be coming up. Flashes is here. Good morning to you. I hope you're doing great. Thanks for joining me. So Midline's got some stuff coming up. My allergies have been just really raging out of control about the past week and a half, and so much that on Friday I was trying to clear out my sinuses and my right ear plugged off, and so I haven't been able to hear very well out of my right ear. I feel like it's going to open up any moment. Like when you're on an airplane or something and the elevation changes, you get that weird pressure in your ear, and you're just like, I try to get my ear to pop. That's kind of how it is. So it's a little distracting for me when I'm talking because this ear hears really great, and then this ear feels like it's like I got an earplug in. It's kind of bizarre. The other cool thing that's going on is I mentioned before that I'd been added to the playdrums.com website, and then I shared on my Facebook page a video by Tim Thompson, who's kind of in charge of all of that. And it's a network of pro drummers and pro drum teachers as a service for people looking for drum lessons that they find quality and qualified drum teachers to be working with people, whether it be in person or lessons online. So it's they're not going to put you on that list unless they really believe in what you're doing and what you have to offer. And so it was really cool to be included in that by invitation to be on playdrums.com. And when you go to the website, they have little clips of drum lesson stuff, some by Tommy Igoe, Steve Smith, Simon Phillips. So those are some of the clips that they have on that website. It's really cool to be included in that circle. So some of my students have seen that I've been added to that, and they, of course, were asking questions, and it's nice that when they value me as a teacher and can help guide them along and things. And so one of my students I had yesterday, she worked for the Tree Fort Music Festival at 3 of the different venues and helping load gear in and out of the venue. And she was really excited about it. And I think she's in her mid-20s. She's just really enthusiastic and excited about drums. And so she was telling me for like 4 days, 3 or 4 days, I'm not sure how long the festival lasts, she got to stand off to the side of the stage and watch all these different drummers from all these different bands. And you could tell that she was really inspired and excited. And so when she talked about it, she was really enthusiastic about watching all these drummers play at the Tree Fort Music Festival. And so after we talked a little bit about that and she got into drumming, I was just smiling because there was a difference in her drumming. She was really committed to how she was playing, really, and just like immersing herself in these drum beats. And so I asked her when she was through with that exercise, like, there's something different about you today, about how you're playing. And that's what we came up with, is that she was so inspired by seeing these other drummers play, which also goes to show you never know who you're influencing when you're out there doing your thing. And so one of my drum students was really inspired by, and I couldn't even tell you which bands they are. I don't know. There's a lot of bands that play over that 3 days of the festival happening and the multiple venues that are around the city where stuff is happening. So that was just a really cool moment to witness. And I mean, she was playing really well last week in her lesson, but when she came this week, after all of that, there was just a little extra something in her playing, and it was really cool. It was really cool. And I get to be part of that. It's so awesome. Okay, let's get into this marketing discussion. And I want to see if you guys can definitely weigh in with your thoughts or opinions or questions. I'm hoping that I can talk about this stuff in a way that is helpful. Because when I started writing through this and my discussion with my friend, it was coming from a internal source of frustration, where you want to market yourself or a product or whatever that it is you're working on, and you maybe seem lost in that way, or maybe stuck in an old way of thinking. And not only is it, if it's just a thing that you're doing on your own, but if you're part of, like, say you're a part of a band or something, like, can you get everybody in the band on board with helping to market whatever it is you're doing? And I mean, this doesn't have to be just music. I mean, I owned a landscape company for many years, and so if I was going to try marketing that, who would all be involved with those things? So I guess if you have employees, you probably don't really rely on employees to help you market the business. But I think I'm going to try to keep it more centered on music and how to do that, like music and bands and things like that. Because I guess if you're in a band, you're not really an employee of the band. You're part of a unit. You're on the team. So I'm going to get into that, and definitely if you have any questions or thoughts as we get going. Chris McCall's here. He says, Midline Live, finally, can't wait. Yeah, dude, it's going to be fun. So May 9th. I think that's it. Let me look at my calendar. Let's look at the calendar. Got it right here. Let's see. Yes, May 9th. It's a Friday. So we're just waiting on actual confirmation on the time and who's all playing and all those details. Once the details are worked out, then there'll be an announcement made. Okay. Anthony Fagiano's here, my buddy, my singer. He says, yes, May 9th at the Knitting Factory. I think it's going to be kind of a locals night situation, and we're part of it. So I'm not sure which bands are playing. That's what we're waiting for. Well, you can find out. We will have tickets for sale as well. So I think all the bands will. Anyway, I can get more into that when we have more details. Marketing. So, some questions to ask yourself. What are you marketing? And then, what are your desired results? Like, what are you hoping to gain from telling people about your band, or, for example, this podcast, telling people about this podcast? Like, what is my process in that? What am I hoping to gain from that? Which makes me think of, I've gone to the Taxi Road rally in Los Angeles. I wasn't able to go this past November. Excuse me. because of my broken leg. But the 2 years prior to that, you go to the Taxi Road Rally. If you don't, Taxi is kind of a service that's involved with getting music placed, sync licensing with film and TV. So that's something that the producer and I are part of. And they have these different classes that you can take to help you become a better musician, a better person, better songwriter, anything and everything that's involved with putting together music. And there's a woman by the name of Nancy Moran from Nashville, Tennessee, and I've taken this class of hers twice. It's called "What is Your Why?" or "Get to Know Your Why," which I thought was really intriguing. And it's a little bit of an uncomfortable class to be part of at first, but for example, for me, it's becoming a drum teacher and a session drummer and a drummer for hire for live shows and things of that nature. So if you want to be specific about teaching drum lessons, you would ask yourself, why do you want to teach drum lessons? And then you have to answer that question. Why do I want to teach drum lessons? Well, I really like drumming. Well, why do you really like drumming? Well, I like the way it makes me feel. Well, why do you like? And it just keeps digging deeper and deeper and deeper. And it's really uncomfortable at first because you feel silly or uncomfortable in how you answer that. And she pairs you up with somebody that's a complete stranger, so you don't even know who they are. And you start asking each other these questions. So now you're having this dialogue with a complete stranger. And I think we all feel like we put up this front, like I want to seem cool or relevant or whatever. And these questions break down all those barriers and really get to the root of why you're actually doing something. Like, what is the benefit of that? So I think that's a little bit of what is involved with why you're marketing things. So I have some notes here, and they're more or less in order. So what are you marketing? What is that product? What is that service? What is that, your band? Let's say your band is releasing a new song and you want to tell people about it. Hey, we have this new song. For example, when Midline released our cover of Mailman by Soundgarden, it pushing from each person in the band, like on social media and the band's page and the band's website, we have this new song Mailman that's coming out. Its release date, a video premiere, things like that. And then we also prior to that, with our prior release with Onward, we did a marketing campaign with radio that got our song out on radio stations and kind of some secondary market stuff, just like testing to see how well that would do. It was an experiment, and it actually went pretty well. So, but how are you going to let people know, hey, I have new music. I would really like for you to hear it. I would really like for you to see our music video. I would like for you to share our music video. So what all is involved with letting people know about that? Because if you don't let anybody know what's happening and you just put it out there into the ether and thinking that people are just going to mysteriously stumble upon your great music, that lacks a plan. There's no plan, and if there's no plan, there's no results, unless it's just something fell out of the sky and happened to. You got lucky. That's where luck is involved. Which Midline has done that before. We had 2 songs that we did in the late teens prior to COVID. One song was called Walk On In, and the other one was called Dirty Water. Both released within a week of each other with absolutely no promotion whatsoever. Nothing. And the attitude of some of the people in the band at that time was, let's just get it out there. Let's just get it out there. We're so excited to put it out there. And it just was flat. There, hardly any people heard those songs. And it was just, It was really disappointing. So that's where like frustration sets in, like, hey, we're part of this team. Why can't we be a little methodical about what we're doing and how we're doing that? So uh, now with the current members of the band, that's not the case. We do want to be smart about how we're releasing material and who gets to know about it. So, what are your desired results? How many people do you want to hear this music? How many people do you want to know about your podcast? How many people do you want to know about this concert that you're playing? So, for example, I just told you a moment ago that Midline has a show coming up on May 9th. Some people would feel like I did my part. I put it out there, and the 8 people that are watching me right now have heard about Midline's show coming up on May 9th. Yay! Then if that was all that was ever said about it, and then the show comes along and 3 people are at the gig in a venue that holds nearly 1,000 people, and then go, what's the problem? How come nobody's here? And then you start wanting to blame other things except for looking at yourself and saying, well, we didn't do what was necessary to get people in the door to make them realize that there was a concert happening. Me just saying that reminds me of a few years ago, Garth Brooks was here, and he did 2 sold-out shows at Boise State in the football stadium. And I don't know, there's around 40,000 people each night that were at his show. Well, there was another musician guy in town who has a band who had commented sort of a I don't know, you could infer a lot of different things from his post, but it essentially said, Garth Brooks can get 40,000 people to show up 2 nights in a row to see him, and we can't get 40 people in this bar to come see us. Well, what is Garth Brooks doing that you are not doing? I'm sure there's a lot of things, and you can't really even say, you can't really even say, well, Garth Brooks made it big. Yes, he did make it big. How? What did Garth Brooks do that you're not doing to make it big? What is Garth Brooks doing? If Garth Brooks played that exact same bar, it would be so full they couldn't let people in. It would be complete chaos. And people would find out that Garth Brooks would be playing a bar that holds, 75 people, let's say. So what is Garth Brooks doing that you aren't doing? That was my thought when I saw that post or comment from this other person. And yeah, it's Tony Fuller's here. Good morning, sir. I hope you're doing awesome. Tony, I think I saw that you were at a drum clinic. Is that correct? I'm not sure who the clinician was. It seems like I saw you post about that. Tell me more. I don't remember. So are you doing the things that Garth Brooks is doing? Like, what is your desired results? Who, of course you could say, well, we want 10,000 people to download our song, or we want 1 million people to stream my song on Spotify. Okay, if those are the results that you want, what are you going to do to make people aware of that? Are you going to just say it one time? Probably not, because you're just not going to get any reach with that. So Tony says, yes, Charlie Willie from Black Flag. Oh, awesome. Awesome. That's cool. And thanks for posting that. It's cool, and I see you doing cool things. So I try to read my handwriting and I cannot. Oh, I got it. All right. So the next question to ask yourself is, who is your audience and where are they? So you could look at that demographically, like who is your audience? Now, for midline, we are dudes that are in our early 50s. And I guess we probably live somewhat in an era of nostalgia. And that's just the way that that's working. So getting probably younger generation people to get enthusiastic about some guys in their early 50s might be a little more difficult than reaching people who are in the same age demographic as we are. So I would say anybody that's probably from late 30s to late 60s, maybe. That might be our group of people. Not to say that anybody younger or older than that wouldn't like the band. Probably there's going to be a smaller percentage of that, but I think the larger percentage of our people are going to be in that age group, which is fine. That's just the reality of what we're dealing with. So where are those people and how do we reach them? Well, we'll get into that. How will they hear about you and how will they discover you? And so, and why would they be interested in what you have to offer? So you want to find where your people are. Now, in this day and age, where is everybody hanging out socially? Where are they? They're on these things. They're on their phone. Pretty much everybody has one of these in their hands. It's I think it's more unusual to find somebody that doesn't have a cell phone than there is that a person that does have one. Okay, and while I'm talking about phones, right now in 2025, how many people actually have a landline phone? A corded phone that's on the wall, probably in your kitchen or living room. Fewer and fewer and fewer and fewer people. Even my dad no longer has a landline. He has one of these. This is where everything's being done. This is where marketing is done. This is where business is done. This is where everything is done, is by this device in your hand right now. This is the answer right here, your cell phone. So dinosaur marketing. If you saw the thumbnail for today's show, I had a dinosaur skeleton with the text over the top of that. And so that was my marketing for today's show. The title was Marketing. Are you stuck in the past? And so there was some other little hints in there. It was like, the past, dinosaurs are extinct, right? You can't find a dinosaur anymore. They're old bones, and it was an old thing. So relating that to marketing, and like, are you stuck that far in the past, like your dinosaur marketing? So what would be dinosaur marketing? Well, newspaper ads. I don't even know if the newspaper exists anymore. Maybe I don't know if there's a Sunday paper or what. I can tell you this, that when our son Christian was a toddler, and I believe Mary was pregnant with Elliot, we had a paper route because we thought we were going to make this extra money. Being a struggling landscaper and having a kid and one well on the way, we needed some extra money. So, and this job, by the way, lasted 1 week, I think, maybe 2. The producer will know for sure because it was a very miserable experience. But we would show up at a location in Meridian, load our car up with I don't know how many newspapers, a lot of newspapers. And as we drove along to deliver these newspapers, rolling them up and putting a rubber band on them and stuffing them in people's newspaper box, which is typically near a mailbox. Now, I don't want to get too far off track on how miserable that experience was, but I bring it up because it was so. If Christian was 2 or 3 and he's about to turn 20, so this is 20 years ago, the newspaper was still pretty thick. Now, if you see the newspaper, it's very, very thin. So would advertising in the newspaper make sense? Probably not. Even for our demographic of people from like mid to late 30s through late 60s, early 70s. Even that being the demographic, nobody's getting the paper anymore. That advertisement in print like that is not feasible, and it might be expensive, or it might not be. But who are you going to reach if the paper's gotten smaller and smaller and smaller? Nobody's reading the paper. John Klein, my buddy John Klein, is here. Good morning to you too. Always looking forward to seeing my bro, John Klein, on Tuesdays. My buddy Bart Robley just texted me. See, this is how business is done. I told him I was going to talk about his book, which that was what I started the show off with today. And he says, I'll send you the cover. Now, Bart, you know that I've been on streaming for 32 minutes. But okay, so in relationship to marketing, my buddy Bart is putting out this really cool book. I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited for him. And Bart is somebody I know pretty well now, and I really believe in what he does and what he's doing and the information that he's going to put out there. And so without soliciting me, just because I'm excited about what Bart is doing, I want to talk about Bart's book. I want to help promote Bart's book. How many times can I say Bart's book? But that's what I'm talking about with marketing, is like, how do you get the people who are really excited about what you do to just help you market without any solicitation to do so? So like I mentioned at the top of the show, because my buddy Bart is here right now, and I texted Bart, yes, okay, so we got a story timeline correct. Bart and I were talking on the phone the other day. He's telling me about his book. Actually, Bart's been telling me about his book for probably, 8 months or so. I'm working on this book, and then some weeks go by and I talked to Bart again, and he would say, yeah, I'm really making progress on my book. I'm excited. It's this and that and the other. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that Bart has talked to about his book. Okay. But it just got released. I talked to Bart about it, and it got me really excited about it without even reading it yet. Plus, I have Bart's other book that was super cool, The Rhythmic Journey. So that's how marketing can help you, is that you're putting something out there, you're communicating with people who are your friends, who are part of your network, and to say, hey, I got this thing coming out. What do you think? What do you think about it? And you can go, yeah. And so that's a way to get people involved with helping you spread the word. All right, I got distracted with Bart. But I think it was a really good example of how that can work for your benefit. And again, totally unsolicited. I had seen Bart promoting the book over the past few days. He's done a couple little short live videos, and I thought, you know what? I am excited for him. And yes, Bart, this is okay. Oh, here's a link. Bart has put a link in the comments. So if you're on Facebook, you'll see it. If you're on YouTube, you probably won't see it, but it is there at hudsonmusic.com, and you can find Drum Up Your Business. So the link is right there, my friends, right there. That's the digital download. So There you go. See, I open up an opportunity for Mr. Robley, and there it is. There it is. Now, that's not the end of marketing for Bart, is because, well, Fred said it on his podcast today, so I don't have to do any more work. Yes, you do. You have a lot of work to do to get the word out. So, when you're marketing, think of it this way. If McDonald's puts out a new sandwich, they're not just going to randomly put it on the menu and not say a word about what you got on the menu. They're going to advertise like crazy. You're going to hear ads on the radio. You're going to hear ads on. But Fred, they've got millions of dollars that they can invest in advertising. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Bart says he'll have hard copies in a few weeks. Yes. So James Harrison is here. He says, so you're literally showing how self and shared marketing starts. Yep, exactly. I'm going to post James's comment so you guys can all see that. Exactly, James. Exactly. So all you got to do is strike that match. That's all that you got to do. All right, so I was talking about dinosaur marketing, newspaper. I got stuck on the newspaper thing. When I had my landscaping business going, there was we were having an economic crisis. I mean, the country was. So this was around 2008, 2009, and in what was sold to me from the phone book people were that I should take out ads in the phone book and stand out from my competition. So I bought 2 half-page ads in the 2 different phone books for 2 years. And you know how many jobs I got out of those thousands and thousands of dollars that I spent on those ads? 0 jobs. Nobody was having retaining walls and patios and things like that built when there was an economic crisis. That is one huge, big mistake that I made. Now, if you get the phone book, it is so small. It looks like a little pamphlet that you might get somewhere. I don't know. It's so tiny. It does. When we get it in the mail, if we get it anymore, we laugh at it and throw it in the trash. That's your your phone book marketing at work. It just gets thrown right in the trash. You used to fax things to people. Nobody faxes anymore. You email. Use the email. Have an email list. That's one thing that I've been discussing with the producer is, should I have my own email list for people out there who might be interested in what Fred Rock's doing? I don't know. It's something that is on our list of things that we're talking about and seeing if that's something that even makes sense to do. Like, do I really? So that goes back to getting to know your why. Like, why would you do that? Why? Dig deeper, dig deeper, dig deeper. Does that make sense to even do that? I don't know. We haven't finished figuring that out yet. James, check this out, people. The phone book used to be a great drum pad. Yep. Yes, it did. You know what? Now that James mentions that, I do remember that was kind of a common thing. I remember my drum teachers when I was growing up, they said, hey, if you don't have a drum pad, just play on the phone book. That was something told to me as an option to work on my stick control, to help develop my doubles, was to play on the phone book. That gave nothing back to you. Yeah. I always thought I'd be one of those guys that would be strong enough I could just grab the phone book and just rip it. No, not with these little guys. Yeah, see, Joffrey Stone's here. He says, yeah, the phone book, that's funny. Yeah, but you're not going to use that to market yourself. Well, old school is exactly that. It's old. I'm talking about marketing. I'm not talking about I do wish some old school things were still a thing. Like I wish that people were still buying CDs. I wish that was still a thing. But I can't be stuck in that. You got to adapt or die. Adapt or die. You got to move with how the trend is going for what you're going to do, or just not going to survive thriving in the scene. So, you could be an old dog who learns new tricks. So what would be a great way to market? I said a moment ago, all our business is done right here or on this laptop computer. This is where everything's done. You can make all your graphics on your phone. I make all my thumbnails for the Drummergy Podcast in stories on Instagram. That's where I make all of those. Now, there's other things that are available. I just don't have those. I know that Mary uses some program for putting marketing materials together for her band Casio Dreams. And, it's so easy to do. So marketing, where are your people? They're on social media. That's where people are. Now, I didn't look up the statistic. If somebody wants to look up the statistic while this is happening and put it in the comments, that would be awesome. Like, how many people are on Facebook? How many people are on Instagram? How many people are on YouTube? How many people are on TikTok? How many people are on X, which used to be what was it? Twitter. Now, Twitter doesn't work for me, so I just stopped using that completely. Most of my success in marketing comes from Facebook and from YouTube. And then I think the next thing in line would be Instagram and then TikTok. There's LinkedIn, but that doesn't seem to be I haven't cracked the code with LinkedIn yet. Sometimes I feel like I'm about to throw the towel in on LinkedIn, but it's still another avenue to look at. So let's talk about marketing for social media. Number one thing, it's free. It doesn't cost you anything to do it except your time to do it. Well, I don't have that much time. Really? When I make a thumbnail for my show and put that together, it probably takes me 5 minutes. I just have in my mind, I want a picture that looks like this. I Google that and find a picture, or maybe I have a picture I could just take of something, and I do that, put it in Instagram stories, grab my logo, this logo. Where is it? I can almost touch it. I have to be backwards. This one right there. I put that in, and I put my text in, save it, crop it, boom, done. You got to learn. You got to learn how you don't be afraid to learn. Don't be afraid to learn. Now, I mentioned earlier, like, are you the only one that's doing this marketing, or like, is your band involved with the marketing? Or whatever it is that you're a team, like getting everybody on board to help market what you're going to do. You'll have way more reach if each individual person is participating in that, and not just once. Like, there's an event that's happening, you want to talk about that. I highly discourage using the @followers feature. That is so annoying. Or where you tag 99 people in a post. That just is that's like a mosquito flying at your ear. It's really annoying, and you want to bat that away. It's like I said a moment ago, like when the phone book arrives, I just throw it in the trash. It's like, why am I getting this? This is so outdated. This is not how you're going to get my attention. I used to laugh. I would get these door hangers in the spring that said, and it would have some handwritten thing on it from a lawn care service, like we're in your neighborhood and we're accepting new clients to mow your lawn, while there's 2 vehicles in front of the house that say Fisher Landscaping on them. Yeah, you're barking up the wrong tree, people. I am not your audience for lawn care. But social media, that's the place to be. That's the place to find people right now. That's where we all are. So you got to market on social media. And then you could do cross-platform marketing, like with Facebook. When I post on Facebook, that thing automatically gets posted to Instagram. Or if I do Instagram stories or reels, that automatically gets posted to Facebook as the same thing. And then a lot of times it just takes a few minutes to make a couple tweaks and put that out there on TikTok or YouTube. And you get an audience that grows and grows and grows. So I've been doing this show for over 2 years now. And I got a notification from Facebook not long ago that as of June 28th or 29th, I can't remember the date for sure, they're going to delete all your old live videos that are older than 30 days. Well, I didn't want to lose all the shows that I've done, which this is episode 121. And I started streaming to YouTube and Facebook at the same time, like around episode 108 or something like that. So episode 1 through 107 has all been on Facebook. So I've been downloading those videos, editing them, and then posting them back onto YouTube. Now I noticed this trend because keeping track is how many people viewed those videos starting 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago. I would get on average 150 to maybe 250 people that would watch, at the time called Coffee with Fred. And it was just this consistency of doing that over and over and over and over. And of course I would have my faithful friends who would weigh in every week and participate in that, which was great. But as the months went on and I'm looking at like how many people are viewing it throughout the week, it started nudging the 400 or 500 view mark, to where once I got into like episodes 70 and above, it was like pretty consistently hitting like 1,000+ views during the week of people going back and either watching live or watching the replay. And so it was really interesting to check out those metrics over the last 2+ years of how that has continued to grow. Now I got people that will either participate while I'm on this or they'll watch later all over the world. I got people who watch from Australia and New Zealand, over in Europe, Canada, Japan, of course, all over the United States. This thing that just continues to grow, and part of it is just the consistency of me doing this over and over. And I think being interactive helps. So with that, marketing is the consistency of that, letting people know. And I feel like as long as you do your part, then everything else is going to take care of itself. You're going to start getting those results that you want. Like I asked, part of the first questions were, what are your marketing and what are your desired results from that? So consistency. And then if you want to talk about graphics of what you're doing, is it eye-catching? What you're putting out there, is it really, really easy to read? Now, I mentioned putting the thumbnail together for the show, and I was late in my marketing for today. Yeah, Joffrey Stone says consistency is undefeated. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So, what was I saying? Blah, blah, blah. I lost my train of thought. Dang it. Well, where'd it go? That's how quickly my thoughts can escape. Oh, graphics. So I found this dinosaur, and once I took that picture, I started putting text over it. It got really hard to read, and I kept trying different colors of text, and that didn't make it. There was always a few letters that would get lost when it got printed over the skull of the dinosaur. So then once I started changing the background color, something that had more contrast to it, then the text started to pop out more. And so then I make these in the stories feature on Instagram, and there was this thing that kind of animates some stuff in the background that had some yellow fire kind of stuff that would move through it. And I thought, oh, that really makes the letters pop out. And so as that was happening, I just took a screenshot of that. So is your marketing eye-catching? Is it easy to read? Is it easy to look at and go, oh, it's the Drummergy Podcast. What are they talking about today? Last week, I had James Harrison on, and I asked James, I said, send me some pictures of you that I can use to put marketing together. And there was a picture of him that was smiling. He's wearing a ball cap that says Harrison on it, and a nice blue shirt with the Vader logo on it. And I thought, James looks great in this photo. He's really easy to see, and it was really easy to have all the text to the side of that picture. So you see that, you go, oh, that, especially people in Boise would recognize James. And then, oh, he's going to be on this podcast, this interview thing. That would be interesting to check out. So is your marketing eye-catching? Is it easy to read? Is the information all there? What is it? Where is it? When is it? Are you getting all those details? Because that's important. Midline's going to have this show coming up on May 9th. Once we have the details of that, we will start promoting that. But we want to promote that in a way that's really, really clear. Where is it? When is it? How much does it cost? All those things that people need to know. So just be really thorough in what you're putting out there. And, if you're a part of a team of people and there's one person that they don't care about social media whatsoever, that they just don't involve that in their life anyway, I would be careful about pushing them too hard to do it. Some people are just not going to be that person. They're not going to participate. And so let that go, because otherwise it's just going to frustrate you like crazy. And you don't want to have that eating away at your thoughts. Oh, I really wish so-and-so would be more involved with helping promote this. Now, on the other hand, if they're pretty good about regularly being on social media and letting people know what's going on, but then this other thing they're involved with, they don't really seem to care about, that might be worth having a discussion saying, hey, if we really want this thing to be successful or to get the results that we want, these are the things that we need to do, and this is how we should do it. And this is the frequency of how we should do it. I got a couple more notes here, try to go over pretty quickly. I mentioned adapt or die. You gotta get with the program. You can't be stuck in the old ways of doing things, because nobody's really going to know about that. So will you thrive or will you die on the vine? I think that's something I heard from Kenny Aronoff, is it's just adapt or die and getting on with how things are working now. So part of the things to consider when you're marketing is, are you selling something to somebody, or are you developing and creating a relationship? Because if you're developing and creating a relationship with somebody, you don't really have to sell anything. They're going to just want to be involved. So I think this situation today with Bart Robley is a really great example. Is I have a really great relationship with Bart. I'm excited for Bart. I'm excited for what Bart is doing. And Bart is pretty active on social media. That's how we met to begin with, is through what Bart was doing. I discovered him. It wasn't because Bart was selling something. Bart was just giving information about how he was teaching from being on the road. And I discovered that video, and it really interested me too, because I spend time on the road every now and then. And I was like, I need to be able to do that. So I started a conversation with Bart, and now here we are, like, I don't know, about 3 years into it, being really great friends. And so that was a relationship that was built out of social media presence. And I think that's super cool. And so when Bart's telling me about his new book, Bart didn't say, hey, Fred, I'd really like for you to buy my book. Now, I know that's what he wants. I know that's his result. That's his desired result, is not only for me, but other people to buy his book. But he didn't ask that of me. He just told me he had a new book that was coming out. And because I liked his other book, it's an easy sell for me. I trust Bart. I believe in Bart. Bart's got a new book out. Hey, guess what? I'm going to talk about Bart's book, because that's how excited I am for Bart, and I want to support Bart. So are you selling something, or are you creating relationships? Because if you can create relationships with your audience, that's where the success is going to happen. So when you're posting and you're marketing and stuff, it can't be, I need you to buy this from me. I need you to buy this from me. I need you to buy this from me. I need you to buy this. People don't like that. That's where, like, that @followers thing, or tagging 99 people in a post, don't do that. Because that's like saying, hey, I don't know you personally, but if you could really support me, that would be great. That just does not. That really bothers me, especially with something that I have zero to do with. Let's see. Let's highlight James's comment, because James always has, for those that follow the changes happening, it'd be very interesting to watch famous bands, some nostalgia related, market the special packages to help draw people into their shows. Do you mean it's been very interesting to watch famous bands? Yeah. I think part of that too, James, is that the record sales aren't what they used to be. And so they're looking for different ways to package things to draw people in. Meet and greets. I think Morgan Rose from Seven Dust was doing a thing where you could, yes, he says. I think Morgan Rose from Seven Dust was doing this thing where he was selling, and I'm pretty sure he's still doing this, is like, you get to hang out with Morgan for, I don't know, an hour or 2 hours or whatever the case is, and you could get up there and meet him and sit behind his drums and check some stuff out, maybe watch the band sound check and those kind of things. Another thing that I see drummers do is sell their drumsticks from their shows. That's pretty common to see that happening. It's that multiple streams of revenue coming in. Bands and musicians have to become more diverse in what they're doing, because they don't have those record sales anymore. So, and I think at the same time, it's creating a really unique experience for people that used to not ever be a thing. So, good for them. I think that's really, really cool. Give people a reason to buy in. So that goes hand in hand with, like, are you selling something, or are you creating a relationship with somebody? It makes them really easy to buy in, just like it's really easy for me to buy into whatever Bart's doing, because I'm interested in those kind of things. And then the frequency of marketing I mentioned earlier, it's like you can't just put this thing out one time and then that's the end of it. It's totally true. Whatever day you post and whatever time you post, you're going to reach a different audience, because, for one, through this thing, you have the globe in your hands. So you have a way to reach people globally, not just locally, globally. So you have the worldwide population just sitting at your fingertips right here. Now, do you need to reach the whole globe? I don't know. Where's your audience? That's those things you got to ask yourself. Where is your audience, and how do you find them? But my point being is that wherever you are in the world is a different time zone. So if I post something really late at night, it's probably going to be really early in the morning for somebody in another country. If you're posting stuff and people locally are seeing it, are you going to catch them before they get to work? Are you going to catch them on their lunch break? Are you going to catch them right as their workday is wrapping up? Are you catching them during drive time? Are you catching them during the time that they might be sitting down to have dinner? So when you post is important, and how often you post. So whatever time of day it is that you post, whatever day you post, you're going to reach different people. You might find more people online on the weekend than you do during the day. And it just depends on, too, like, what is it that you're marketing? Some people might be on social media more during the week, and then on the weekend they're free of of technology, maybe they're in the mountains camping or whatever. So you got to post frequently about what's coming up, because you're always reaching a different audience when you do that. Yeah. So I think that pretty much covers everything. Thanks to those who weighed in, James and Joffrey and Bart. Bart's link is right here in the comments. If you're on Facebook, you could probably see that. HudsonMusic.com for the digital download of Drum Up Your Business. And I think he said a few weeks from the hard copy being able, the physical copies. So there you go. I hope that helps. And, I think it goes for everything. Is there's an old way of doing things and there's a new way of doing things. And I think if you want to survive and you want to thrive, you have to be up with how things are moving now. Right now. And I do that with my drum students too. I'm helping build drummers who can work in the climate of how things are now. And without getting too far off topic, but that's why I stress like working with the click, working with the metronome a lot, because that is a requirement pretty much anymore for drummers and musicians, is to be able to play with those things and it feel good and it sound great. So don't be stuck in the old way of doing things. The old way is exactly that. It's old. And if you're an older person, you still need to learn how to do stuff. If the results are, you want to thrive and survive, or survive and thrive. Surviving sounds like you're just getting by. I want you to thrive. So we'll just say thrive. If you want to thrive, you gotta get with how it's all working now. All right. I will see you next week, and I'm going to do a recap on WGI Indoor Drum finals. Heading to Dayton, Ohio. I'm going to go see my son Christian perform with the Blue Knights for the world-class finals for WGI Indoor Percussion. That's really cool. I just tracked him on his phone before I got on, and looks like he's getting close to Indianapolis. So he's almost to his destination. He and a bunch of performers from Blue Knights are traveling in a motorhome to get there. Yes, James, I will stay off scooters. I'm going to come home in one piece. That's my intent. It's funny, once you've had an injury like I've had, like, your awareness of things around you, what might cause you harm, it's more 3D, I guess. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out, and I will see you next week. Bye.